Thank you so much for listening to IBT's 10-minute speed pitch on Sense, our pattern recognition system. I'm Olivia. I recently graduated from Yale with a degree in art history and economics, and am now diving into the amazing prosthetics industry as the newest member of IBT's team as a business development associate. IBT was founded out of a Johns Hopkins lab in 1997, and up till now we have served over 3,000 patients in 31 countries. We have been partnering with prosthetists for over 10 years to develop meaningful devices, one of which is our Sense pattern recognition system. I am new to the field of prosthetics, and I have to say, the first time I watched a patient get fit with Sense, I was amazed. The patient loved doing arts and crafts, so the grip she was most excited to try was the pencil grip. On that day, for the first time, she used her prosthesis to pick up a pencil, and that was a really exciting moment. She kept saying how incredible it was that she was able to translate her thoughts to movements. So how does pattern rec translate thoughts to movements? At its core, pattern rec learns to interpret a patient's muscle signals and command the prosthesis. To calibrate the system, a user will use his or her phantom limb sensations to create a data imprint of each muscle movement. As a former art history major, I like to think of these data imprints like Jackson Pollock paintings. Pattern recognition translates the electrode signals into a picture that explains what the patient wants to do. You can imagine that the data imprint associated with each movement is like the combination of colors associated with each painting. In pattern rec, each time the system reads a pattern of signals, like looking at a painting, it will activate the corresponding prosthesis grip. To understand a painting, you wouldn't want to look at just one color. And similarly, to understand the signals that the brain sends to activate a movement, you wouldn't want to look at only one EMG signal. So what are the benefits of pattern recognition over direct control methods? First and foremost, it's intuitive to use, because it uses phantom limb sensations to control the movements that the user naturally associates with the grips, whether that be open-close or a pinch grip. The individual can choose the muscle patterns that feel most natural for them to assign to a movement. Let's consider a scenario where a person with a powered elbow, wrist, and hand wants to pick up a glass of water. Let's count the steps they would need to do this with a direct control method. 1. Co-contraction for elbow. 2. Open, close to bend elbow to the right position. 3. Co-contraction for the wrist. 4. Open, close to pronate or supinate wrist. 5. Co-contraction for hand. 6. Press button or perform trigger. And 7. Open, close the hand to grab the glass of water. Now let's consider the same scenario with pattern recognition. The steps would be 1. Gesture to control the elbow. 2. Gesture to control the wrist. 3. Gesture to control the hand. Only 3 steps. The patient can have multiple degrees of freedom without any switching mechanisms. Next, our pattern recognition system is easy to set up and comfortable. Because the system uses up to 8 electrodes instead of 2, the prosthetist will have the freedom to place electrodes for fit and comfort. Additionally, the larger number of electrodes makes pattern rec a good fit for non-traditional myo patients. Because there are so many electrodes, there's more sensitivity to patients who might have weaker signals or lack strong independent co-contraction signals. Finally, pattern recognition adapts with use and conditions. Because users can easily recalibrate their system to map their muscle contractions to different movements, the system may be recalibrated at any time to adjust to changes in fit, skin, fatigue, or limb volume. So overall, pattern recognition feels more natural and is more adaptable to the individual user's muscle contractions. So what actually comes with a Sense order, and what makes our hardware unique? Both the control box and the 8 electrodes that come with Sense are the smallest on the market. When learning about prosthetics for the first time, I was really shocked by how little space there is between the inner and outer sockets, and we at IBT want to make the fabrication footprint as small as possible. Additionally, our components have lower battery consumption so that patients can use the Sense system longer between battery charges. You can see the Sense software on the laptop screen. This software allows for the prosthetist and patient to view signals, calibrate, and adjust device settings to whatever works best for the patient. Our software is also unique in that it features single movement recalibration, So if a patient needs to recalibrate a single movement, he or she doesn't need to recalibrate every movement they have on the device, saving the patient time and effort. The software also includes our virtual training app, MyoTrain, which I will talk a little bit more about later. And ultimately, the patient will transition to our user-friendly mobile app where they can calibrate on the go. Besides our components, what IBT really prides itself on is our clinical care model. As mentioned, IBT has been partnering with prosthetists for over 10 years, and it is our philosophy that partnering with prosthetists to design and implement technology will yield the best outcomes for patients. So how does this philosophy apply to Sense? In the next 4 slides, I'll talk about the 4 steps in our clinical care model. First, evaluation. IBT wants every patient to have the myoelectric prosthesis that is the best fit for them. We know that one size fits all does not apply. We make evaluating whether or not your patient is a good fit for Sense easy. We do free webinars to help prosthetists get trained up on our system before the patient arrives. As we stress the importance of OTs in helping patients learn pattern rec, we also provide free training webinars to OTs and will help prosthetists identify OT care. Additionally, IBT offers a continuing education course on Sense, and please feel free to reach out if you are interested in that. We also have a reimbursement guide that assists in defining medical necessity and outlines the benefits of pattern rec. We will also provide prosthetists with a loaner kit free of charge to evaluate your patient's potential as a pattern rec user. We will be on call during myosite testing to help determine your patient's potential. Second in our clinical care model is PreProsthesis and virtual training. After a prosthetist finds a patient who is the right fit, the patient can get started on training to use pattern rec even before the prosthesis arrives. We encourage prosthetists to use a check socket so that patients can use the system with their prosthetist and OT to start learning during that golden window before the prosthesis arrives, when individuals are eager to learn and train while also maintaining their muscle strength. Something unique to IBT's pattern rec system really is our virtual game-based training environment, which is at no additional cost. We like to think of this training software as learning how to drive a car before you get the car, so by the time you get it, you can take it and go. The patient I saw fit actually mentioned that in addition to arts and crafts, she loved playing video games, so she was really motivated by the MyoTrain system, and she enjoyed getting feedback on how she was doing. Another really valuable aspect of MyoTrain is that it can be used to demonstrate that patients are succeeding or improving in pattern recognition. For example, if they can do 3 or 4 movements consistently, or if they move up in the game-based star ratings. Performance on MyoTrain can be submitted to insurance companies to make an even more compelling case. Additionally, as you are fabricating the final prosthesis while your patient is training, you may send over all the prosthesis components to IBT, where we will assemble the parts and guarantee that they are compatible. The third step in our clinical care model is fitting and delivery. Hopefully, by the day of the fitting, the patient will have already been trained on the MyoTrain system. When I observed the patient fitting that I spoke about earlier in the pitch, the patient put on her new prosthesis and was almost immediately able to execute 3 different movements because she had been using MyoTrain with her OT. The day of the fitting, we can also have a member of IBT on call to make sure that everything goes smoothly. The final stage of our clinical care model is post-launch. Here you can see an image of Baltimore, and though we are located in Baltimore, we can support you no matter where you are. We will check in with you and your patient to provide training and continued functional improvement based on user needs. And if the prosthetist is comfortable with it, we can even contact patients directly to address questions or concerns, taking some of the burden off of the prosthetist. In this pitch, I have highlighted the aspects that make our actual hardware unique, but what is most unique about IBT is the support that we provide throughout the entire process of fitting a patient with Sense, from free training to post-launch support. When our product ships out the door, that is not the end of our commitment to you. We will be there from the beginning to the end of the process as much as you will have us. And as a last thought, when I think of natural and intuitive movement, I think of Jackson Pollock swinging his paintbrush back and forth over the canvas. IBT strives to allow your patients to come as close to this kind of intuitive and natural movement as possible. Thank you so much for listening.